I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you want to option the new 2025 Porsche Panamera. This year we have 7 total trims, 4 of which will be a hybrid, and increase in horsepower, increase in technology, increase in performance. The whole vehicle is new. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to touch bases on some pros and cons and compare it against the competition as well. Starting in the front, each Panamera can have a unique fascia, which I think is awesome because when you go into the GTS, you want it to look more aggressive, and they do that. The front end will start off with a active air intake flaps. Now it's going to get a lot more dynamic when you get into the GTS because you'll have 5 bars. It will automatically open and close depending on the driving cooling, and that will keep the airflow restrictions as low as possible. New HD matrix design LED headlights. This is 64,000 camera controlled pixels, and the technology reacts to every driving situation with light distribution, adapting to the situations. This will map the vehicle's width in construction zones and narrow areas, as well as the fog light optimized dip beams. And if it's raining, it will also enhance. So a lot of technology and a lot more aerodynamics. Underneath the hood, 2.9 liter turbocharged 6-cylinder producing 348 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed PDK dual clutch automatic transmission, reaching 65 seconds. Add the chrono package, it's going to drop 0.2 seconds, as well as that quarter mile. It's going to be at 13.7. It'll go down to 13.5 with the top speed at 169 miles per hour. The hatchback is definitely the way to go when you're thinking about Porsche, because you can option this as a 4-seat, 2+2, or you can add the 5-seat in the middle with these 275, 35, 21 up front, 325, 30, 21 out back, with 6-piston brake calipers in the front with the Porsche badging, 4 in the rear, and the air vent to breathe, so that way it's ready for performance. And yes, this is not going to be a track variant. However, the first reason why I would choose this trim is you're not only getting your feet wet, but you have more than enough power, because if you're going light to light, 5 seconds 0 to 60 is faster than probably 95% of the vehicles on the road. Hatchback design with the gloss black elements, and I like the green color because it really does pop. The lower sill gets the insert of the paint as well, so it looks a lot more cleaned up. Now, going into competition like Audi, is it better to option this or an RS7 Sportback? You're gonna save a little bit of money going this route, but if you drop another $20,000 to $40,000, especially if you get a special edition, you will have a lot more power because that's a detuned Lamborghini Urus, in which when you go into the GTS, that becomes the sweet spot here because it drops your 0 to 60 to 3.6 seconds, which is 0.1 second quicker than the prior, and it's up 20 horsepower, giving us a total of 493 horsepower and 483 pound-feet of torque. But with the Panamera, the 4E hybrid, 463 horsepower or 489 pound-feet of torque, dropping the 0 to 60 to 3.9 seconds. That is the true sweet spot in which I would say it's going to be a little bit better than the RS7 in pricing and performance. As for Mercedes, you're going to be spending more, I would say about $10,000 to $20,000 to get similar features to this. And if you want the performance that's going to be comparable, you're going to be over $200,000. And that's going to take me to the problem that I have when you go to the E-Hybrid Turbo. You're talking around $50,000 more than the GTS, which they have increased the price on all trims, but we've got more standard features as well. Updates on the exterior, including the headlights, as well as these reworked taillights, so it has more of the Lamborghini styling. And to optimize the aerodynamics, you can get the active rear spoiler, which is a 4-way rear spoiler that comes standard on the GTS and the Turbo E Hybrid. And the tailpipes will be brushed stainless steel, whereas the Turbo E Hybrid has 2 turbo-specific tailpipes, which are finished in dark bronze. And the GTS will also have a unique sport exhaust, as well as a sport exhaust system with a standard 360-degree reverse camera, front and rear parking sensors, and finally standard soft closed doors, which that should have been standard last year. I mean, let me know what you think about that in the comments. As for the exterior design, I think Porsche nailed it. And when you go up the tier from the GTS and up, you get smoked out taillights and headlights. It's more specific to the trim, making this a more unique vehicle, because when you go into competition, They just add aesthetics, whereas here, you're not just getting aesthetics, you're getting full-blown performance and a transformation of the whole vehicle. Standard power liftgate going into 17.4 cubic feet of storage. This is a hatchback, so you're gonna have a wide opening, as well as a 12-volt charger. And underneath the floor, get some storage. Even though I'm tall, I can't actually bend, in which you have to go into the back seat to maximize the cargo to the 46.9 cubic feet, folding down at a 40-20-40 split or a 60-40 split. We need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. The key fob for the new Porsche Panamera. 14-way power seat adjustment for the driver and passenger, heated and ventilated front seats with the Porsche logo. Memory for the driver and passenger. And you're gonna notice the interior has gotten that refresh that it's needed. The 12-volt system remains responsible for these onboard electrics like the infotainment and HVAC. That's why everything's turned on. Let's fire it up. 10.9-inch touchscreen, and new is these QR code readers to make it easier to log into the vehicle with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio, Bose sound system. You can either have a 10 speaker that has 150 watts, a 14 speaker that has 750 watts, or you can upgrade to the Burmester 3D high-end surround sound. 1,455 watts with 21 independent speakers that's going to be found throughout the interior of the cabin. That is crazy. Put it into reverse. This is now standard. A 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear, and this should be standard. When you click onto these little camera positions here, you can go all around the vehicle. Working into a rework center cluster, dual climate control settings, and this is a touchpad, but it goes inwards whenever you touch it. Even though it's cleaned up, there's still going to be some cons, which when you click into the climate control here, this is the way that you can toggle these vents. So you can hit it as soft, as strong, and it'll adjust the fan speed accordingly, but you still have to do the majority of the stuff through the infotainment screen, and it can be distractive. A 10.9 touchscreen for the passenger can be optioned, and you can do things like streaming videos while the vehicle is in drive, and the driver won't be able to see it, as well as a push button start. That's also new. Leather wrap steering wheel, it's multi-function. We got the driver mode select, which we only have normal and sport. We do not have the chrono package, which would have the little clock right here. I do like how they have configured the screen layout because everything is fitting flush, which the touch to feel, I think they did an excellent job with the craftsmanship. Heads-up display and a 12.6 curved digital reader that can go through an array of different content for the driver, as well as the full navigation. And it's the first time that we have a full digital reader for Porsche. Going into a wireless charging pad, that's also standard with high performance charging at 15 watts, 2 USB ports, cup holders. This opens up and you have a storage pocket that you can move this back and forth, as well as a 12-volt, no pass-through, which kind of wish they would integrate that here. But you do have physical buttons for the infotainment screen, and you'll have little buttons here on the touch screen with the paddle shifts. Multi-function. And now the PDK gear lever is on the dashboard, so it cleans up this center cluster, making it driver focus, but yet everybody can still operate all the infotainment screens. Dashboard, door panel configured together nicely. I like the contrast stitch work that comes into play, gloss black, and you get the bronze, and it's going to be more sporty with a medium-sized storage pocket. And the best part about these hatchbacks is look at the leg space that you have, as well as the headroom. Auto dimming rear view mirror, touchpad here, that will open for the pano moonroof and also close it for the back, as well as the lighting. That's all LED, and ambient lighting will be standard. Going into the back, this is the space that you have to enter for a 2+2, or you can option this to be a 5th seat for a quick drive. This opens up, you get a little storage pocket. Lift that up, now open this up. You get your cup holders, push this, and now they expand out and you still have a little storage, as well as another storage, USB ports, and a touch screen that you can go through the navigation. You can also do the audio sound system. You can see the G-force and your compass. Heated rear seats, as well as opening the rear shade electronically. Air vents are going to be in the center. Leg space is good. You get a storage net there. And headroom, it's good. The seats actually feel just as comfortable as the front, which is the second reason why I would consider the Porsche Panamera. Air vents on the side. Door panel is going to have the same segment that's found in the front, except it's a smaller storage pocket. The Porsche Panamera with 348 horsepower, 368 pound-feet of torque. Is it enough motivation? Anything with this type of power, turbocharged, it's going to be a lot. Check it out. Throws you back in your seat. It's quiet in the cabin. You get some of the exhaust note that filters in. And because it's paired with a dual clutch automatic transmission, it's just going to drive a lot more performance yet seamless. But the sweet spot, like I said, is the 4E hybrid, because you are getting 463 horsepower with 479 pound-feet of torque. It also drops your 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. So it is a huge deal when you're considering how much performance you're getting just going up a couple levels. As for maneuverability, I mean, you can get in and out of tight spaces even though this is a long vehicle. Clearance is good. You got 5.2 inches. Curb weight, it's 4,850 pounds. So one concern may be, does it feel heavy on a day in and day out drive? It's gonna feel a little bit more weight whenever you're pushing the gas pedal on a normal. But once you put it into sport mode, it just changes the whole demeanor of this vehicle. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros have to be that we got the updates that it needed for the exterior. I like the styling, I like the headlamp assembly. I'm not a huge fan of the matrix design headlight assembly, but it works. And when you're considering the power and the way they do the active grille shutter, changing it in different models so it gets more air to come in or just optimal aerodynamics, they did an excellent job sculpting the exterior as well as giving smoked out lights for the front, the rear, also for the exhaust. I mean, everything is going to be unique depending on the trim that you tick. The cons is they went a little bit too much tech in the interior. I like that we have all digital screens, don't get me wrong. I'm just not a huge fan of this touchpad that's in the center that is derived in all the Porsches. I wish that they would make it a little bit more unique depending on the trim that you go to instead of just throwing in the same concept on all of the Porsches. The back seat, I do like how I can fit and it's more relaxed. It feels just like the front. Kind of feels similar to Audi. But when I'm going to the RS7 Sportback, which is my favorite vehicle in Audi, you're getting more or less a detuned Lamborghini engine, which it's night and day difference in performance. Another con will be on the passenger side. The footwell area is a little bit more tight. On the driver's side, it opens up quite a bit. I mean, you got a ton of space. So for a long journey, it's great. The cushion extensions don't extend out as long as my height. I'm at 6'3". I kind of wish they would extend out a little bit more so. And another pro for people that are thinking, well, I have an SUV, I can't go into a sedan or a hatchback. Funny enough, you can actually tow with this up to 4,850 pounds with the payload at 1,228 pounds. When you're thinking about putting that with the performance specs and the technology that you're getting, that's the third reason why I would consider optioning the Panamera, because you're getting an SUV lower to the ground, so it's going to be a bit more smooth, agile whenever you're taking some of the bends in the road. You'll feel the performance, and you can still get the everyday chore done. Going against competition, you can't say the same thing. That's why this stands out. Check it out. Unfortunately, now we're gonna try it again. Sport Plus, here we go. Is it enough power? Let's rock and roll. I think it's more than enough. It gives a little symphony whenever you're doing it. Otherwise, it's composed and quiet. But even though they did such a great job, there is some cons. The PDK, it's gonna take a little bit of time to get used to if you're not familiar with a dual clutch automatic transmission, it does feel jerky, especially whenever you are giving it some performance and then just driving in normal. Adding some plastic materials through the interior of the cabin is definitely not something that I like, but they do mask it pretty well. Gloss black elements everywhere, which leaves a lot of fingerprints plus scratch marks as it gets some age, and you're going to be utilizing that wireless charging pad that is a 15-watt charger because it charges a lot quicker. That being said, I can clearly see this center area being scratched up for a second or third owner. I like how they have made the interface better for the Apple CarPlay, so you can literally utilize it on the gauge cluster and on the infotainment screen. The safety is a lot better too, and it comes standard with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, steering assist, blind spot monitoring. It's great that they have finally updated these features, but if you're thinking about a 24, these features are not standard. You would have to pay extra. That's why it makes sense to pay a few dollars more and get a 25 Panamera, or go into the 4E hybrid so you get all the performance more or less unlocked. Because for me, it's hard to see going into the Turbo E hybrid. I get it, you're nearly 200 miles per hour. You get a 0 to 60 at 3 seconds flat. It has a lot of goodies. But in the same aspect, you're talking around 50K more than the GTS, and the GTS is already good. And it's unfortunately because a lot of the automotive industry is doing this. They price out trims so much that it puts you in a different variant. That's why for me, I would stick to maybe the first 3 or 4 options of trims for the Panamera, because you're getting more than enough performance. There's just a lot of value with the refresh. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise website and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Porsche of Clearwater for giving us this 2025 Porsche Panamera for our car review.